Hello, everyone. This is Don Green coming to you from Rigel Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, we're going to present another in a series of timely videos for the listening and the viewing audience on critical issues which especially the listeners and viewers in Nevada need to know about what's going on and how it impacts their particular situations, and of course it overflow into California. With me today is Maggie Morgart. She is the director and owner of Homeland Personal Protection, and she is also the CEO and director of the new company, Women's Defense Network. And how are you today, Maggie?
Doing amazing. How are you today?
Okay. The focus of this particular show will be kind of like what's going on with Nevada and what's happening with the pending legislation and pending orders and directives from the President of the United States concerning felons and possessions of firearms, and maybe the relaxation of some of the standards. Can we have the first slide, please? In Nevada, we have Assembly Bill 105. Basically, this bill restricts bringing firearms to polling places. Now, everybody thinks, well, wow, that's just common sense. Well, you know what? We have to have a law to prevent, especially now with what Maggie terms as a Trump derangement syndrome with many different types of people. And Maggie, why do we need a law to prevent people or to order people not to bring firearms to polling places for elections?
One might see it as maybe evening up the playing field. I don't really feel that it'll make a difference. If you have someone who wants to exercise their Second Amendment, I think they might. Concealed carry, it's a thing. And so some might be like, I'd rather be, tried by 12 than carried by 6. They may go ahead and exercise that right to keep them bear arms anyway. It's not something I really feel is going to make a huge difference, quite frankly.
Do you think that the legislature in Nevada is anticipating some problems coming up in the 2026 midterm and 2028 general elections?
I kind of feel that there might be, and people should be prepared for that. They should be aware of, their surroundings and who's in the area, and really try to read that body language. People can really present a level of anger at some of these polling places, and so if you see something, say something. Create distance between you and a potential attacker. I would say let's not do things that excite the crowd. I understand you have a right to wear whatever you want to a polling place. Like you started with, I really feel like there's this Trump derangement syndrome. Anything you wear could just freak somebody out and just trigger them to do something dumb. We literally have people being attacked just for wearing a Make America Great red baseball cap, which I have one. I even have a black one. It's kind of ridiculous that people think that they can just tell other people what they can and can't do, especially when they're following the law.
Okay. Without telling your students how to vote and whatever, with this bill, would you advise your students to exercise great caution before even thinking about carrying a firearm to a polling place?
Well, that goes with anything. I would definitely let them know that they need to prepare themselves for whatever area that they might live in, whatever area they might be going into to vote. Again, being prepared. If they are allowed to conceal carry a firearm, that's fine. I would just say know your environment, who's in it, and if you had to defend yourself, do a good job. And hopefully they'd taken training so that they know exactly how to do that, or even to deflate the situation. Be the person who apologizes first. We don't always have to walk around and be right or be self-righteous, because self-righteous may actually excite the mindset of the individual who is not even in control of their own mind, like that person who has got Trump derangement syndrome. Right. Not that that's a clinical terminology. I'm just it's something that's out there that we talk about.
Okay. May we have the next slide, please? I've been getting a lot of questions both in phone calls and at gun shows lately about the Trump administration and the administration of Attorney General Bionde, who's doing a fine job, on what's known as restoration of rights for felons to carry firearms. There's some controversy because there have been some celebrities who have been had their rights restored, such as the actor Mel Gibson, who actually was applying for a pardon and to get restoration rights before Trump was reelected. And now he's received permission from the Attorney General, and a lot of people don't understand this. It is the Attorney General's responsibility under the United States Code who can determine who can get restoration of rights in certain circumstances. Of course, it's causing a lot of controversy, and so what do you think is the possibility of the average Joe on the street? Battery, domestic violence 25 years ago, now living with his wife, and they have grandchildren. He's got a great job. He's a pastor in the church. What do you think about a situation like that of a guy petitioning to get his rights restored?
We would have to look at those circumstances as something that is reasonable, that we could reduce or remove that felony based on this person working on their life, doing a better job, and is that relationship, even with all of that external presence of greatness, is it really internally a great marriage? Are they an effective team, if you will? Are they getting along? Have they had counseling? Are they continuing to have counseling? Because there had to be some sort of underlying circumstances that caused him to attack her or him.
A murderer spends 25 years in prison, is released on parole, becomes a minister in a church. You see the situation. What about this type of situation for restoration of firearms rights?
Again, I would say we'd have to look at what sort of therapy has this person had. Can we take somebody and give them an opportunity to better present themselves to the community, to better show that they are a good positive force in the community? If let's just say it was a self-defense case and they were now charged with murder, was it malicious or willful intent? Are they still a malicious person? Again, those external shields of everything looks great on the outside, was it really good on the inside? We have to really question that. Would a clinician say, this person has shown that they would never do something like that ever again? They have taken that remedial training. Those are all things that have to be in place, I believe.
Let's go to the next slide. Now, the anti-gun lobby has accused the administration of a lot of things. And for example, with the situation with Mr. Gibson, who probably was well-deserved to have his gun rights restored. But do you think that these anti-gun rights activists are saying that, well, Trump's just using this for political reasons as opposed to his true belief in Second Amendment rights?
I truly believe that Trump believes in our Constitution. I believe that he's wanting to restore the proper definition of what those rights mean and how we can actually exercise those rights. I don't feel that it is a political pull. I think he has his own ways of glorifying his personality. And I think that if these are things that are not against our right to keep and bear arms, I don't really feel that there has to be if you do this, you can have that sort of thing. I think that our Second Amendment is what it is, and we should be able to exercise it the way that it was written.
What about those people who are trying to say that, well, Trump got shot? He'd be the first person to claim gun control because you had, a 20-year-old kid with no formal training shoot at over 100 yards of a rifle, 5.56 millimeter, traveling at about 18 to 2,000 feet per second, and it's just by mere coincidence that the president turned his head, otherwise he'd be dead. So what do you think about those people where Trump should have now gone against gun rights?
I don't feel that was something that would give him the right to say, well, this happened to me, so we should ban all of this. We'd all be riding horses or walking everywhere. We'd all have to hire drivers. We'd all have to say, hey, let's ban alcohol, because how many DUIs are out there? We can look at this and see it for what it is and just try to do better. I think education, for us to want to just do the right thing, I personally feel that with rights comes responsibilities, but it shouldn't be where we're now forcing people to do things we as a people should want to do things to make things better, to protect our abilities to move forward and exercise the rights in the Constitution that we have. And it is something that I see pretty often, where people will show up to come and take a firearms training class, to come and take a concealed carry weapons class, because maybe their neighbor's house got broken into, maybe they themselves were attacked. Remember, there's no such thing as gun violence. There's just violence. And so it was violence that was thwarted towards him. It wasn't the gun that did it. It was the person who used that tool. The person was the weapon.
Thank you. May we have the next slide? The Supreme Court of the United States has sent a decision from the 11th Circuit back. And basically, the 11th Circuit had ruled against the petitioner, who was claiming that he should get his gun rights back. And the U.S. Supreme Court sent this case back to the 11th Circuit in light of the Rimini decision. The Rimini decision about a year and a half ago was where the Supreme Court ruled in a very favorable decision for the government, that Rimini, who was a wife beater, he had a record that was a mile long, and the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed the fact that he could not have a firearm because of his prior convictions. So they didn't reverse. They sent this 11th Circuit back, and I've been getting a lot of people who are saying the Supreme Court ruled this way, when I tell them no, the Supreme Court merely sent the case back. What do you say to these people who are just reading these snippets from on Facebook and X, and they're just reading these snippets of what they think the law is? What do you think about these people?
I feel that we're afforded with so many opportunities in this country, and I think that we should do a better job. We should read more. If you're getting a snippet, it's almost like getting a Bible verse. You go into the Bible, you open the Bible, and you start to read more about it and get to understand things at a deeper level. Knowledge is key. And knowledge is basically the understanding of the information, and we can't just go off of knee-jerk reactions and start to think that it was something else when it was truly more of a factual event that happened. And it's our job as adults, or even children for that matter, to understand things at a deeper level before we decide to make plans to have actions or thoughts, or even about talking to someone else about it and turning it into something that it wasn't.
Thank you. And the next slide, please. We have in the slide in front of us for the viewing audience and for the listening audience, it is the exact executive order from President Trump about protecting Second Amendment rights. Is this part of his campaign just to say this, or do you believe that the president's actions with Attorney General Biondi are really looking towards reform of Second Amendment rights as it's interpreted, or as it's practiced by federal agencies?
Well, one thing about the ability to keep and bear arms when it comes to maybe what Trump has in mind is the fact that he understands that we have the ability to protect ourselves against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I can tell you that with this open border crisis that we had from the prior administration, we, the people, need to be able to keep and bear arms to defend ourselves against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It isn't a bad idea. I don't know what's on the subconscious mind of the president, but I will say that I think it's a great idea to keep our Second Amendment right in place for all of us to be able to defend ourselves and others who may actually need our help.
Thank you. And the final slide, please. We have a law in Nevada, Nevada Revised Statute 193.030. And this law was enacted by the legislature in 1911, over 100 years ago. And the statute was very clear and very simple that basically in Nevada, when you have conduct which is not prohibited by statute or the Nevada Constitution, you may engage in that conduct, and that is the basis by which we have an Attorney General opinion in Nevada saying that open carry is legal. We'll go into that in a few more minutes. But do you think that Nevada someday, it's not this legislature, someday will have a constitutional carry or a statute permitting open carry?
I'm not sure if that is going to be applied across the states. I think the states are going to have their own laws in place. If if the federal government says that, hey, the right to keep and bear arms means that you can carry a firearm however you choose to carry it across the state lines, I'm not sure if other states are going to comply with that. I mean, we have a sister state, California. I don't know that California is going to want that. Although I will say California is opening up their non-resident CCWs, by the way. I think that it's important for the nation to know that we have our Constitution in place and we need to be able to exercise that responsibly.
Okay, thank you. And again, the contact information for Miss Morgart at Homeland Personal Protection and at the Women's Defense Network will be on the streamer at the bottom, as will be my contact information, Don Green, 702-409-8239. And thank you very much, Miss Morgart, for joining us again this morning. Thank you.